Hey everybody, welcome back. It's release day for the ESPN NFL2K5 Resurrected project that we started back in March with a few of us, and then we picked up some more people and were able to get through a lot of the deciphering and pulling files and getting templates the way that we wanted them. So really big credit out and thanks to everyone, really, including Flame of Hope, who came in with a lot of other experience with 2K3 and other projects. xevan, who worked on NBA 2K and has a lot of design experience and was one of the heavy contributors that helped with the the uniform templates and a lot of the other templates. So really big thanks to everyone that has helped contribute to this. Flame of Hope, xevan, early on was Rick, Heavy, Mahomes Magic with some logos and different ideas and things. Bad Al, obviously, for a lot of his support with the 2K5 tool and just other stuff. He was doing a lot of face texturing. And we recently picked up Orleans02, who's been another awesome addition to the team, who helped with a lot of the branding, logos and sports desk and just selection screen. There's so much stuff that everyone has contributed that is just really awesome and has got us to where we are today. So thanks to the entire team. We're glad to have version 1, which we want to let you know that version 1 is going to include only clear weather. So in 2K5 there are different textures for different weather types. You have clear weather, you have rain, and you have snow. So this particular release, our first one, is just going to be focused around the clear weather for stadiums and uniforms. And the project will be available on GitHub once it's available, which it should be when you're watching this. So thanks for hanging in there, and thanks for supporting and sharing ideas from the community and just everything. Really cool, which got us to where we are today. So there are a few issues with the project. Obviously, we didn't include snow or rain weather textures. There are a few teams that had duplicate texture files, which it is what it is. We couldn't do anything about it, and we are kind of limited. And a big thanks to Topaz TK, who has his own project, which is the developer for the GSDX plugin for the PCSX2 emulator, which allows us to do this. And then obviously with the roster files, there's sometimes we always do a best match effort with the player faces. So there's going to be a few that might be incorrect, whether it's photos or faces, but it's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. So on the GitHub page, we're going to have information on the release. There will be release notes. I'll just open this up and take a peek at it. In here, obviously it's the initial release, so it's going to include a lot of stuff that is just going to be a nice refresh, and it'll be really enjoyable. So details will be in here. You can read a little more about it. And what we did is, I believe xevan pulled some PS buttons and some Xbox buttons, I think from one of the NBA 2K releases, which are really sharp. So we refreshed not only the PS buttons for everyone, but also we added support for the Xbox controller buttons as well. So if you're like my son and he has trouble with converting the Xbox buttons to the PlayStation buttons and get confused, then don't worry, we have support for both, so you're in good shape. And then tutorial link. So this is early, obviously the link will be up here for this video. Future releases we're looking to do is clean up some of the stuff. Stadium ads, other areas of the game where we have textures, and also add in the stadium and the uniform textures for both the rain and the snow weather type. So that'll be coming. And then a big thanks to everyone again. I called everyone out. So Flame of Hope, xevan, Orleans02, Bad Al, Rick, Heavy, a bunch of others, a lot of the key contributors here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Xbox controller buttons. It'll take you in here, and this is open source, obviously, so this will be a very familiar format for a lot of people when you get to the GitHub site. So once you get here, we're going to download this. I've already downloaded the package, but it'll pop up. You'll click download, pick somewhere where you want to download the file to. I already downloaded it here. I don't want to do that. I'm click happy. Excuse me. So I'm going to extract this here. It'll take a minute, and we tried to do the best we could with the texture file sizes, but the project itself, just the texturing alone, is about 4 gigs. But everything's included here. There are a few exclusions, and it's the same thing as the other project that I released for the 2K21 with the roster file. So this build will not include the game ISO file. You're going to need that, and it will not include the PS2 BIOS. So that's going to be on you to get that or use yours that you already have. And that's really just because Sony has exclusive copyright around sharing their firmware, and I don't want to get into any kind of legal issues with them. So once this is extracted, we can go right into the ISO, or let's start here getting started. So let's open up the document, and we'll smush this to the side. And we're just going to go through this. So it's laid out pretty nicely, similar to what I did with the documentation for 2K21, which is really just the stable build and the rosters. But we're going to skip down here to getting this prepared. So once we have this folder, it's extracted. Obviously, open up the Getting Started document. That'll help you. Let's extract this, which is our boot ISO that we're going to need when we get to creating that VHDD. But let's extract this. All right, trash that. I really just wanted this. Move it up a folder. Okay. And then this folder here is going to be the meat and potatoes of the emulator build. So I recommend putting this directory wherever you want it to live on your system locally. I'm going to take it and actually just take and cut everything. I'm going to dump it into this main directory here. Oh, it's because it's open. So I'll skip that one. I could stay back. Let me close that. And let's take that out. Just dump it here. Get rid of that directory. Let's get this file back open. Okay. I don't need it that big font. Alright, so let's get to where we were preparing it, right? So once you have your folder where it needs to be, then we can dig into it a little bit. And obviously there's no BIOS, so you're going to want to pull your own BIOS from your previous emulator builds, or you can go to PCSX2's website, and there's details on how you can extract your BIOS if you need to. So dump this in here. Alright. And we're going to launch it for the first time. Slide it over here so everybody can see it. And then we'll just go through the configuration to make sure everything's okay. Just going to follow along here with the document. Plug in BIOS selector. Go right to BIOS. That's already defaulted for me. Okay, plugins. Shouldn't have to change anything here. I always like to peek and just make sure that my directory is where it lives on my machine, or where I want it to be. And that all looks good there. So it'll apply, write that back. We'll skip down. Video settings. So this is where you're going to want to set your video settings to be whatever your hardware is. So I'm going to set mine. I use Direct3D because I have an NVIDIA card, but you're going to want to set this to whatever your hardware is and set that accordingly. If you already notice, this includes Topaz TK's GSDX. I believe it's version 1.2. The plugin's already in here. So you'll notice that this is green, and this section here is what's really added, which is what allows us to do the swap or replace the textures. So again, big thanks to Topaz TK, who's, I think, doing more development. So even in the future with some of his updates, we might be able to include fonts and different things, which will be really cool. Because right now we can't do anything with Jersey fonts, but who knows, that's down the road. So there's nothing else in here that I would say that we want to set or check. Everything should be set, and we're still using the NFL2K17 project's shaders from Rate Sports. Those guys did awesome stuff back then with that project, and we haven't found anything any better, so I just keep including it because it's a really nice shader set. And I think you guys will find the same when you start playing with it. So we'll okay out of here. So video settings should be good. Audio, you can come in and check this to make sure it's set to whatever your audio device is. It should default to whatever I'm using. And then this is the big one. So the configuring the VHDD is where I see the most, I wouldn't say the most, but a lot of people have questions around it, and it's not working, I did this, or you know, it crashes on me. I don't know. I've always just had luck with it. It took me forever and a day to find the right path and posts and tracking stuff down because someone had mentioned it on the forums. over on Operation Sports, but they didn't really give any details or context into how or what the process was to actually do it. So when I figured it out, I obviously did a video and shared it. But this is one where I think some people run into some challenges and issues, but we're going to do it fresh here. So we'll go into config, and it's the dev9 plugin. We'll go into plugin settings. Let me slide this over so we can see it. We're going to check the box for enable HDD. Click options. Let me slide this over. So here we want to just browse back to, and there's already a directory in here for it. I'm just going to copy this, browse, make sure it goes back into my new directory. Size has to be 40 gigs for the halftime show to work. We'll say OK. And then this part where it's actually building out that VHDD, it'll be dependent upon your hardware, really. I'm running M2 drives in my machine, but it doesn't matter, right? It's minor. I think everybody in today's day and age has an SSD drive, and if not, then okay, not a problem. This part just might take you a little bit longer if you're running a spin disk, that's all. So we'll let this finish out. Okay, and again, everything's going to be in here for everybody too, but questions or anything, some people will jump into the Discord in the community and ask, and usually someone's able to help out when people run into some issues. So yeah, so formatting is where I think there might be some hiccups, but we're going to go through it together, so no worries. All right, so that's done. So now I'm going to click apply. Okay, and I'm already in my directory, so I can see that it created it, which is cool. All right, so now I'm going to go back up to where my ISO is. I want this directory, and I'm going to go to select my ISO, browse to, and I want to select my ULED 438, the boot DVD that was included. All right, so we want to make sure that that's selected, and then here you want to make sure that you boot ISO fast, not full. If you do full, it might give you like a weird thing saying format, blah, whatever. I don't remember. Make sure you pick boot ISO fast for this one, so that we get right into the bootloader. And we'll make it so we can read it. So we'll be here now, and we're just gonna follow through. So let me grab my controller. So we want file browser. Let's see, all the way down to MISC. Right, and then HDD manager. We're gonna go into here. Give that a minute. It's got to read, and then it won't show anything, but we can just hit format, which is the R1 option. So if we hit R1 on the trigger, let me go to it. It'll bring up this box over here, create format, and we just want to go down to format. Yep. So we'll let that do its thing. All right, cool. So it's done, right? So it's formatted. We're okay, and then we can just exit. All right. So now the VHDD is formatted. So we'll say exit triangle. Okay, and then we can just close this out of here. So I'm in a system shutdown. All right. So our VHDD is done. So let's go. So yeah, and then with this also there are some. There's two memory cards that are included. So I have a 2K5 Res 1 and 2, slot 1, slot 2. The memory card in 2 has nothing on it really. It's just a 32 meg memory card. They're both 32 meg. The one in slot 1 is going to be where all the files are. And with this, we're going to include, obviously the EA ratings aren't out yet, so we haven't really had a chance to run them. So it's going to include week 17 of last season's ratings. With this, so but there's other stuff out, and I believe someone else just released something for 2K22 rosters, which really awesome project. Chai Bears 96, so maybe check that out on Operation Sports. But let's go ahead and launch this, and I'm going to enable cheats. Let's see, yeah, because it includes the pnoc file that we're going to want. So that's one more thing. Just make sure that enabled cheats is there for you. Oh, and then we need to go to our game disk, which I already have the game disk, so let me just browse to it. Let's see. And again, you're going to need to have your own disk, obviously, Alright, so for the first launch, we're going to come in here and we're just going to boot full ISO, or boot ISO full. Yep, okay, cool. So, and now we should just see immediately the refresh textures and everything. You can see a lot of the branding and everything really sharp. Thanks, Orleans, and everyone else that contributed. If you don't see the textures when you load the first time, you probably want to go back into the configuration, plugin settings, and then check and uncheck. I'll show you right quick. Let me just pause this. So if you launch the game the first time and you don't see the textures, you'll want to pause it. Or just shut down, and then plugin settings, come in here, uncheck and check, click OK, and then if you launch again full boot, you'll see the refresh and the textures. So I just want to take a look at the menu. Menu music way too loud. Take a look at our memory card. So the HDD is going to be the first one. So the first one that loads up that we look at when we go into open or save is going to be that VHDD that we had created, which is the 40 gig disk. And yes, you can save to it if you want to, like game saves, replays, things like that. So let's go over one. And here's memory card slot 1. So in here is the NFL 21 season, which is last season's week 17 roster. And franchise file, and then also included is from the NFL2K17 release, which is the work from the Rate Sports folks from that team. So the playbook and settings and VIP, I've also included that from that project as well. So we can load up whatever we want here. Something to make note of is that I know there was a video that we put out where we were testing replacing player photos with updated current photos, and we didn't circle back to that, and we know that the new season's coming and new ratings are going to be out, so rather spend a lot of time to work on last season's, we're going to wait until the new season's roster's available, and then we're going to focus on that one to probably work on that to get player photos so that when we go in the game we'll have accurate pictures of the players. So that'll be coming in the future as well. So notice so much stuff was done in here. You guys are going to really enjoy this, I think. Big credit out to, again, Orleans. He really took lead and took off with a lot of the sports tests, retexturing, which we see here. So awesome. Everybody, just can't thank everyone enough. From Flame of Hope, xevan, Bad Al, Orleans02, Rick, Heavy, Mahomes Magic. There's been so many people have contributed, whether it's ideas or just anything, and really I think everyone's going to enjoy the project, and we hope everyone has a good time with it. So I'm just going to take a peek here and show you guys. I know you already saw it in the last preview that we did. So we'll pick the Dolphins. I don't know why my kid loves the Dolphins, but he does, so we'll pick those guys, and maybe the something to note, actually, this is good. You're going to want to make sure that in options that weather type is set to clear, because if you pick rain or snow, the textures just aren't there yet, and that's going to be in a future release, like I had mentioned. So that's one good thing to come in and just make sure that your weather type is set to clear. Let's start this. But
hi, I'm Chris Berman. Ahead on ESPN, they're just about ready to go down in South Florida. Pro Player Stadium is where we'll find Dan, Peter, and Susie. Philip, Dallas Cowboys, Miami Dolphins. Next.
Ideas and
while the teams are out on the field,
I choose tails.
Let's just close this down. Shut down. And again, if you have questions or anything like that comes up, just join the Discord. Ask, drop a little note in the Discord and ask, and myself or one of the others will be able to help you out when we're able to. So we hope everybody enjoys this NFL2K5 Resurrected project. It took quite a while to do, but there was a lot of time and effort put into it, and really big thank you to everyone that helped contribute with this. So we hope everybody enjoys it. And thanks, guys. Take care.